I won't marry in Azora, their potatoes make me flee. Better wed a drunken Vyatskoye, but at least we'll have some tea. Our village had 26 shops in the houses, 26 shops on our square. There were 6 pubs. Also, we had beer houses and a lot of tea rooms. Let's open the Brockhaus and Ephron Encyclopedic Dictionary. What can we see there? Vyatskoye is one of the most significant villages in Danilevsky district. It has 1,000 residents, 2 Orthodox churches, 2-story stone houses, paved streets. So this village can be considered a little town.
The knowledge from the 19th century encyclopedia is still true today. This Yaroslavl village stands out with its presentable mansions, its number of residents, and its postcard views. They say it's because the villagers of Vyatskoye are so active and enterprising. They always kept their heads above water. After the revolution, the village had fallen into decay. The wealth of the Khvatov merchants faded away. Seasonal farmers were let go. Unwillingly abandoned houses fell into decay. Vyatskoye had a new beginning. The villagers created a 1 million-plus collective farm. They remember the craft of their grandfathers, growing and salting cucumbers for export.
In 1939, they sent more than 10 tons of cucumbers for sale from the nearby Puchkovsky station. And it was sold by the owners, not by assemblers repurchasing cucumbers, but by the owners themselves. They ordered a freight car, several families cooperated, and after that, they sent it to the north. The farmers' income from 1 agoreshnya, that's what they called that season, was equal to the annual earnings on collective farms.
Once the village recovered, they were struck by a new trouble. During Perestroika, the farms fell into decay, young people left the village, old people passed, and all the mansions crumbled. By the 21st century, about half of the historic buildings in Vyatskoye were lost. When I came here in the year of 1988, it surely looked different. It was not like it is now. It was something like devastation here. In 2008, the Yaroslavl manufacturer came to this depressed village. He bought an old house, renovated it, and then he brought people, capital, and opportunities and gradually restored the whole village. Finally, people started reaching out to us. We're really glad that everything turned out well.
It's where I was born.
Of course, the voice of his heart was calling him to his ancestral homeland, to his native soil. Every year my husband was spending his vacation here.
I couldn't wait for my vacation.
Right. Every summer he was just eager to get here.
Yes, I was coming by the July haymaking. And instead of taking rest, I went out in the fields.
Alexander Lisanov is a sailor. As a young man, he lived in Tallinn. However, he came ashore to his homeland. He returned to Vyatskoye for good. He built a new house. Lisanov's farm reminds one of an interactive museum. The landlord uses tools and goods that have been passed from generation to generation.
I guess this machine tool is about 300 years old. I remember Mikhail Mikhailovich. He was my grandfather. I can't remember anyone before him. I was making scooters, sleds, then electric guitars. Everything's done with this tool. This is a memory, and I do really like making stuff with its help. I don't know how old this barn is, but it's really old. I don't come here often. That's why it's grassed over. Here, so... Sometimes something's calling me. Here.
This is a cucumber pit. It's where the cucumbers stored in barrels were kept. They would bring them out in the spring, and if the barrels didn't fit, They would keep them by the river under the ice, so one of the barrels got lost. It spent 25 years under the ice. We found it, and the cucumbers still tasted the same. It smelled of dill and garlic. The cucumbers were still crispy.
With this tool, I can socket the barrel hoops. So here it has two cutoffs. You can spin it in any direction. So when the barrel is starting to crack or leak, then you start socking it. And all around it.
First of all, the village became a magnet both for its residents and for tourists. The chapel front was set up in an ancient forge, which was put to the local Yaroslavl spring.
It's healthy mineral water. Its qualities match waters from the German resort of Baden-Baden. Analyses were made in 1903 and in 2008. Can you imagine? It matches perfectly.
The Yaroslavl spring also nourishes the reborn cucumber trade. It is believed a vegetable salted in this water is unusually crispy and succulent. The villagers only accept cucumbers of their own selection, Vyatskoye belogubok. There are hundreds of salting recipes. They also use ancient ones.
In the past, cucumbers were put inside pumpkins, and then the pumpkins were put into the barrels. Then it was stored in the vaults, and after that, it was actually eaten. After using the pumpkin, it was dry salted under the sun. Next, it was naturally used for further cooking, porridge, soup seasoning, and so on and so forth. Dear guests, now I would like to invite you to the merchant shop. Let's see what was on trade back then, and what Alexander Gorokhov himself used to sell. Please, come in.
Ancient houses were gradually bought from their owners, opening museums inside of them. Today, Vyatskoye has 18 collections. Here you can learn about merchant life, ancient machinery or furniture, the history of printing or firefighting, outstanding countrymen, and much more. Vladimir Ponizovkin, a music teacher from Moscow, gave the 18th century gospel to the village museum. It is the only material item left in his family from their ancestors, Vyatsky wholesale traders. The founder of the Ponizovkin dynasty had bought himself out of serfdom, and his sons had become the starch treacle kings of the Russian Empire. The Ponizovkins built factories and mansions near Vyatskoye on the banks of the Volga.
This ancient mansion was built at the beginning of the 20th century by my great-uncle Nikita Ponizovkin. He built it for his spouse, Rosa Pavlovna Bursyan. In daily use, it's called Merchant Ponizovkin's Castle. Fortunately now, it's being slowly reconstructed.
After the revolution, the village school was placed inside the castle, and its owner was sent to the Belomor-Baltijski camp. They interrogated the former manufacturer about where he hid his fortune. It turned out they were almost in plain sight, right in the mansion's vaults.
There is an inventory holding several billions. Not sure if it's in rubles. There is gold, diamonds, platinum. It all was collected over more than 100 years. And it was taken away from our family. Just like that.
Alexander Abramov has so much work at the Vyatskoye that he even moved here from his hometown of Yaroslavl. This master is restoring stucco, which was decorating the interiors and the house facades. Even the platbands were made of stucco. Plaster decor fashion was brought in their knapsacks by seasonal masters who built St. Petersburg. They had their eyes on it, so they wanted their village to have a capital appearance.
Let's look at this satyr. That's the work I found in Vyatskoye. I've restored it, and now they're decorating a couple of houses. It's a plaster platband. If you treat it carefully, It's for a full do. This one is for centuries, that's for sure. The main modeler's tool is called a sleeker. Sleeker. All right, it's freezing. Now we're separating them too, and we get the casting, so-called replica. All right. Considering all the experience, it has to turn out the best way possible.
The bathhouses are lined on the bank of river Uhtanka. It's typical for villagers to put bathhouses as close to water as possible. It's easier to collect water. And also you can take a dip after steaming.
All right. And the rest is going to the stove. It's going to heat up and it will be so bracing. Here we have one. We like bathing in steam. What good bathing it is. Very nice. It turns out really wonderful. How pleasant it is to bathe in here. Our sauna is almost ready. Wow. What a sauna it was. What a sauna. I'm as red as a lobster. Dear Lord, it's so hot in there. Oh, good people. And suddenly there was smoke.
It's a whole event. It's so interesting. Without them, it would be boring. But if something happens, we discuss it through and through. It's a whole big event. You see, I know half of Vyatskoye. I guess, yeah. They're all good people. All of them are workers. Of course, they're different from the city, for the better.